Good day, everyone. My name is Rivera, and I'm here to share with you my research paper entitled Gotong Royong and Bayanihan as Reflections of ASEAN Collective Identity. This research paper seeks answers to the following questions. What is an ASEAN collective identity? And how does it differ from Southeast Asian collective identity? Are the traditional values such as Gotong Royong and Bayanihan reflections of ASEAN collective identity? Thirdly, does the spirit of Gotong Royong and Bayanihan transcend political boundaries among ASEAN member states? And fourthly, how do Gotong Royong and Bayanihan as community values foster a sense of belonging and shared identity among the peoples of ASEAN? ASEAN declared the year 2020 as the year of ASEAN identity. It aims to develop an ASEAN community conscious of its ties of history, aware of its cultural heritage, and bound by a common regional identity. This is in line with the official ASEAN slogan, One Vision, One Identity, One Community, which aims to attain a people-centered regional community anchored on shared values and collective identity. Some of the major goals of ASEAN community are reflected in ASEAN's official statements and documents, and here are as follows. ASEAN shall continue to foster a community of caring societies and promote a common regional identity. To promote an ASEAN identity through the fostering of greater awareness of the diverse culture and heritage of the region. To achieve enduring solidarity and unity among the nations and peoples of ASEAN by forging a common identity and building a caring and sharing society. Identity is key to building a community. Okay, let's start discussing the theoretical concepts of ASEAN collective identity. According to Amitabh Acharya, one needs a sense of common or collective identity to build a true community, legitimize cooperation nationally and internationally, and reinforce the rationale for collective actions. Carl W. Deutsch suggested that the building of a community occurs only when a group of people develop common values to the point whereby a sense of we feeling and solidarity is shared among its members. Okay, here is the Venn diagram comparing and contrast the Southeast Asian identity and ASEAN identity. It is worth noting that in this study, the identity of Southeast Asia as a region should not be confused with the identity of ASEAN as a regional organization. So, okay, let's start with Southeast Asian identity. Okay, first and foremost, Southeast Asia is a region, whereas ASEAN is a regional organization. And identity or Southeast Asian identity is more enduring because its identity is anchored on the inherited values which have been embedded in the Southeast Asian cultures for so many centuries. Whereas Asian identity, as we all know, is more recent and uh, more artificial. So in a nutshell, Southeast Asian identity is the basis of Asian identity. Next, we have the narrative of Asian identity. Actually, this is a document adopted by ASEAN in 2020 that affirms that Asian identity is composed of constructed values as well as inherited values that will strengthen the Asian community. What are constructed values? These are defined as values that a group of people or nations who associate themselves with a product of active and deliberate intentions in order to develop an allegiance with certain mindsets to achieve specific objective of a community. Examples of these constructed values are security, non-interference, consultation, dialogue, unity in diversity, in inclusivity, ASEAN centrality. Whereas inherited values are defined as values that the people of Southeast Asian region ascribe to, which have been passed on for generations through the natural process of human interaction that develops into various types of communities with much similarities. Examples of these inherited values are the following: communitarian or communalism, collectivism, tolerance, humility, social harmony, solidarity, humanity, among others. As far as inherited values are concerned, if there are conspicuously known as communitarian collective values in the Southeast Asian region are the centuries-old Gotong Royong and Bayanihan. This research study argues that Gotong Royong and Bayanihan are still alive and well and widely practiced in Indonesia and the Philippines. These traditional practices are not only exclusive nor peculiar to the Indonesians and the Filipinos alone, for the spirit of Gotong Royong and Bayanihan also exists, although often under different local names, and transcends national borders in the Southeast Asian region. The communitarian collective values such as Gotong Royong, Bayanihan, and the likes then reflect the ASEAN collective identity. Let's dig out the definition of Gotong Royong. According to Clifford Geertz, um, uh, he defines the concept of Gotong Royong as a joint bearing of burdens. And according to another scholar, John Bowen, Gotong Royong means mutual and reciprocal assistance, as in the traditional Javanese village. It calls up images of social relations in a traditional, smoothly working, harmonious, self-enclosed village on Java, where labor is accomplished through reciprocal exchange and villagers are motivated by a general ethos of selflessness and concern for the common good. If you see the picture on the right side, this is the depiction of the culture of Gotong Royong through the Marakap Bola. It's a tradition in South Sulawesi, Indonesia, and much similar to our Bayanihan tradition in the Philippines. And And in my research, I have found this, and I have learned that Gotong Royong is still ongoing and widely practiced throughout the Indonesian archipelago, although under different local names. Let's say, for example, Central Java, they call it Sambatan. No, that's the counterpart of Gotong Royong in their area. West Java, Arizan, East Java, Kenten, highlands of Aceh, Pangolo, northern Kalimantan, uh, Bedurok, South Kalimantan, Lewo, Bali, Ngaya, Central Sulawesi, Molamoa, Southeast Sulawesi, Lepambai, Gorontalo Province, Huyula, North Sumatra, Markara, Nusa Tenggara, Mosehe, or Pemane Kolo Rai. And next slide, we have Bayanihan. And as we all know, Bayanihan is a traditional Filipino custom which comes from the root word bayan, literally means nation, town, or community. Bayanihan is also known as tulungan, or mutual help, or damayan, mutual aid, which is a practical response to both individual and community needs, which under certain circumstances would be difficult to achieve if people with meager means would it that organize themselves. If they didn't organize themselves and pull together their resources. That's according to Gertrudes Ang. Today, Bayanihan is one of the official vocabulary words that have been added to the Oxford English Dictionary. And it is defined as a spirit of civic unity and cooperation among Filipinos. Just like Gotong Royong, Bayanihan is also widely practiced among ethno-linguistic groups in the entire Philippine archipelago. Let's start with the Ilocano. They call it Amoyo, the Ibatan of Batanes, Paisidu Sidungan. How about the Waray of Leyte and Samar? They call it Tiklos or Pintakasi. The Maranaos in Mindanao, Kapamagwida. The Palaweños, Tabang-Tabang. Central Visayan language, Pagtambayayong. Other Tagalog people, Bataris or Bataresan. Not just like the people who live in the province of Bulacan. Albay province, Luyo-Luyo, Quezon province, Suyuan, Kinaray of Western Visayan province, Dagyao, and the Kapampangan of Central Luzon, they call it Pasugu or Makisugu. And I have experienced this personally during the rice planting season and harvest period in Pampanga. Okay, the question is Bayanihan still alive in the Philippines? As a matter of fact, in this time of pandemic or COVID-19, Bayanihan is alive and well. If you look at the picture, this is what we call community pantries that are now being carried out by the private sector, non-government organizations, and religious groups throughout the Philippines. And how about Gotong Royong in Indonesia? You see these two women preparing food for the less fortunate children in Indonesia, and they are nearly 5,000 from around the country, around 5,000 women that volunteer for Food Bank of Indonesia. It's also an NGO in Indonesia. And now, is is the is this communitarian collective value like the value of cooperations is also prevalent in is it also prevalent in Southeast Asia? Based on my research, Gotong Royong and Bayanihan are not peculiar to Indonesia and the Philippines alone, for they also resemble other community cooperative values in the Southeast Asia. As my concluding thoughts, what makes Southeast Asia distinct from other regions in Asia? Is it the collective identity of the Southeast Asian nation states that makes them set apart from other regions? Identity is key to building a community, whether economic, socio-cultural, or political security varieties. The countries in the region have pre-colonial ties owing to their proximity and permeable or porous interactions of the early Southeast Asian polities. This explains why there are many commonalities or resemblances in the region in terms of their customs, traditions, values, beliefs, language, clothing, music, and food, among others. By knowing our historical roots, we may learn that our shared cultures, customs, and traditions transcend nation states' political boundaries. Amitabh Acharya, a prominent Southeast Asian scholar, pointed out that Southeast Asia's identity is the basis of the identity of the ASEAN as a regional organization. He stressed that ASEAN identity is a reflection of Southeast Asian identity. Since the formation of the ASEAN in 1967, a large number of people in the region today identify themselves as Southeast Asians who imagine themselves to be part of a regional community. It is also worth noting that national identities complement regional identities. Let us take, for example, the traditional norms, which are called musyawara, or consultation in English, and mufakat, or consensus. These traditional norms are ways of collective decision making, may have been practiced for centuries in Southeast Asian societies. Even in villages, decision making is done by way of mutual consultation rather than law enforcement at the top. These norms of consultation underlie centuries-old social practices, and in the local lexicon in Indonesia and Malaysia are called Gotong Royong, and in the Philippines, Bayanihan. And these constructed values of consultation and consensus based in decision-making process among the ASEAN nation states have been based on these traditional norms in the Southeast Asia. Another example is the Indonesia's concept Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. In English, it means unity in diversity, which is associated with Gotong Royong, which became the foundational principle of ASEAN and still central, appearing in the preamble of the ASEAN Charter. Interestingly, Bayanihan and Gotong Royong resemble other community cooperative values in the Southeast Asia. These resemblances of values indicate a sense of group unity and collective identity among the ASEAN member countries. Lloyd Alexander Adukul notes that celebrating the shared notion of valuing the other as part of the self may restore pre-colonial affinities that could strengthen the foundation for a regional identity. Thank you so much for listening. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih banyak.